Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Mass Effect. In the last episode we did two side missions, investigating who was killing Alliance scientists on the planet Ontarom, and looking into the fate of Jacob, the random dude on some random ship who was brain dead and his wife wouldn't let him go. This episode we're going to be continuing on with the side quests. We're going to be doing a chain like of side quests that we got from Nevaria. I don't think we actually got them from Nevaria, but you can only do these. What we're about to see this episode, you can only do once you have beaten Nevaria. So we're going to go to the 6 Theta cluster, where there's two systems, Acheron. These are both named after rivers in the Greek underworld, Acheron and Erebus. So we're going to go to the Erebus system. Styx is also a river in the Greek underworld. The more you know.
Commander, we've got an incoming distress signal. Patching through to you.
Mayday! 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 This is Lieutenant Marie Durand, 314th Infantry, Alliance 10th Frontier Division. The listening post has been overrun by unidentified hostile life forms. Request immediate extraction.
And that gives us, it's one of these quests you only get by entering the system, so that gives us the UNC Listening Post Alpha mission, which is what we're going to do. Firstly, the classic scans though, Planet Quadji, that's a nice name, and that gives us several deposits of platinum that still only counts as one, to quote Gimli. And then if we go to this one as well, Where Money? Then we can scan it, and scans turned up a few odd readings. Chief Engineer Adams fine-tuned the scans and discovered an automated repair drone in orbit. Talia and Adams brought the drone on board to dismantle it and found a Prothean data disk in its core. I think that's our last Prothean data disk now, of all of them. That's kind of cool. The planet of interest, the one we had the distress signal coming from, was this one, Netmos, one of my favourites. Netmos is a resource-rich terrestrial world somewhat larger than Earth, with a dense atmosphere of sulfur dioxide and argon. Netmos's crust is very thin and unstable, not more than 8 kilometers deep in any location. Subsurface magma flows are hazard to ground travel, and earthquakes are frequent. While heavy metals and radioactives are plentiful, this geological instability has deterred investment by mining concerns. An additional complication is that the Styx cluster lies uncomfortably close to the 5 kiloparsec ring around the galactic core. The ring contains a great deal of molecular hydrogen, fueling the majority of the galaxy's star formation. This area is too dangerous to safely travel. But yeah, Netmos, I just really like the look of it. It's kind of like, it's got the kind of Mordor look to it, but it's really pretty, I think, in a way that Mordor kind of isn't. You can see what I mean by the kind of Mordor thing. Anyway, there's various things we can do on here. We're going to start off by going down to the southwest to the point that lies there. And when we get to this point, this is a slightly odd one because it's just really in the middle of nowhere. There is this, just a small box, like it's not a massive anomaly or anything like that. It's a buried safe box, and if we recover it, then one of the miners had a League of One medallion. It's possible he discovered it while they were digging, but there's no way to know for certain. One of the miners. Yeah, this is a mining kind of station, which hasn't been mentioned so far. But anyway, if we go now back up to the north and east, there is 2 points there, so we're going to go to the northerly of those 2 points. So, this one is one of few ones in the game that's marked as an anomaly, and I think really counts as an anomaly, because as we approach it, it appears that particle balls were shut down just after breaking through into tunnels below the surface. The shacks and equipment are stenciled with the logo of the Tenkara Mining Consortium, but there's no trace of the mining crew. So you can see, yeah, these are the particle balls, I assume, and they're the tunnels they've broken into, which is pretty weird. And then if we come through here, there's some just various bits of crap you can get around the camp as well. There's medical kits. That wasn't a bit of interest. If we head over to this one, there's a technician kit, which contains some useful stuff, and that's about it. And then you can see, well, you can't see it on the map at the moment, but you could see onto the map, just down or away from us here, is a mineral, so I'm not even going to bother cutting, because it's just up here. I'll just speed it up. And this contains a deposit of uranium. As I say, we're really getting right to the end of the collections now, because this episode and next will be our final few side quest episodes, so that's cool. Anyway, now let's head all the way down to the south and slightly to the west. And this contains a second mineral deposit, this time a sample of palladium. And now we're going to head to the point due south of here, which is the actual plot point where the mission, where the kind of distress signal was coming from. So, you can see this camp here, and on the map it's surrounded by enemies. The enemies are indeed Rachni! Everyone's favourite. So, that answers some of the brief mystery about the tunnels and stuff. Rachni are fortunately extremely easy to fight off in the Mako, so I'll just clean up these quickly off camera. Now you'll see in the bottom it says Rachni Swarm approaching. That's a worrying sign, isn't it? Let's take this time to have a little chat with this Lieutenant Durand, the one who sent the distress call. Or not. Or she's completely not responding. Okay, so we have to fight off the Rachni Swarm first, it looks like. What you can do here, so here's a little bit of a trade-off. If you come over here, there's this generator. Attempt to, like, interact with the generator, and it will say, the generator has been ripped apart by Rachni claws, leaving the defensive turrets inoperative. It would be possible to power the turrets off the Mako's engine, but this would make it impossible to drive or fire the Mako's own weapons. So you have a choice. You either can use the Mako or you can have the rockets. In Venice, those two rocket things are probably more useful than the Mako, and we're pretty good on foot. So I guess we're just going to have to fight off the Swarm first. I thought you talked to the Lieutenant first, but apparently not. Oh, no, there we go.
3rd Brigade, 14th Infantry Regiment, and I am damn glad to see you.
We heard you needed some backup.
Actually, we need to get the hell out of here. But I guess your ship couldn't carry us all. They dropped us here a few months back. We get supplies every couple weeks. We didn't see anything local that was more dangerous than lichen. Yesterday, these animals started coming out of the ground. No idea where they're from. This is what's left out of 90 men. I'm the ranking officer.
They're not animals, they're a sentient species. You study history? They're called Rachni.
Never heard of them. Can't say I care. What we just fought was a probe. Our seismic sensors are picking up a crapload more on their way up from underground. We've got 5 minutes, tops. We might be able to hold them off if we were at peak, but you can see the fighting's busted this place up.
Do what you can to secure your position. We'll see if we can get some of your defenses operational.
Aye, aye, Commander. You heard the woman. Everybody pool magazines and grenades. Take a leak and a drink while you can. And if anyone wants to smoke, it's as good a time as any.
Forgot that I was accidentally on the Geth pulse rifle there. But yeah, so now's your chance to quickly hook the Mako up to the generator, and basically the Rachni Swarm's going to approach in 5 seconds, so fight them off. I'm going to put the speeder on for it, otherwise it'll take forever. So at this point, you get a brief respite to kind of wait for the second swarm to approach. And as you can see, especially when you're as high level as we are, it's really not a threat. Like, I'm not even having to use the scope on my sniper. I'm just basically using the sniper cannon thing I have to repel them if they get really close. But other than that, like between the rocket turrets, the Marines, and especially like my 2 squad mates, Rex and Caden, there really aren't much of a threat at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and fight the second wave off also with the speeder on. And that appears to be us done. I'm standing in a small pile of Rachni corpses. A couple of them got through to me, but generally, to be honest, I wasn't even... The main reason I wasn't using the scope on my thing is it's a bit jarring if I was on the speeder, which I was at like 500% speed, doing kind of a lot of that stuff. Might have been a bit much. Anyway, with both waves fought off...
Holy hell, ma'am. Talk about a near-run thing. You alright?
I'll live. You?
Still on my feet. But we've been fighting for almost 26 hours straight. None of us will be standing for long. There's one other thing I should mention. One of our other listening posts went offline 3 days ago. I don't know if it's coincidence, a pirate raid, or what, but if you want to check in on them...
We'll check on them. I don't know why there are Rachni loose out here, but I intend to find out.
Ma'am, we're getting a signal from one of the ground scan UAVs. A big hollow space about 500 meters under the surface.
Right, that must be it. That must be where they're coming from. My people aren't in any condition for a clearing operation, though.
Just point us in the right direction.
You don't have to do that, Commander. We've bled them. We can probably hold until a bigger ship arrives to get us off-world. If you want to take a throw at it, we'll give you the coordinates. But it's your call. You saved our asses, Commander. Thanks.
So, that reveals another point on the map, which is the kind of main hive nest. And so, well, there's 2 points basically over near there anyway, so we'll go over there. We just need to first detach the Mako from the generator, and over we go to the east. West. Man, I still can't do east and west, can I? Now, apparently, here's a kind of interesting story about this mission. Apparently, even though you can't do this until after you do Novaria, this mission was actually created in the kind of by the developers before Novaria. This mission was one of the first ones in the game to be created, and I'm told, I've never seen the film so I don't know, but I'm told this whole mission is kind of an homage to the film Starship Troopers. And from what I know of the film, that sounds about right, with the Rachni being the bugs from that, or whatever they're called. And then kind of, so that concept was evolved, and then from there they developed the concept of the Rachni and linked it into Novaria, and these Rachni that we're currently seeing, we're going to do basically the kind of, there's a chain of quests of which we've now got the second one, Listening Post Theta, or something like that, some other Listening Post one, and we're going to be doing this whole chain of them this episode, but it does kind of connect it into the Rachni and Novaria. It's not like there are just suddenly wild Rachni around. But yeah, so obviously you saw there was a mineral deposit, and then a debris, and then this point is the point that we were given of a kind of an old mine shaft, which leads right to where the Rachni are coming from. So, let's head inside. Now, this should be particularly good fun because I've got Rex on his I've got Rex on his shotgun now, and that's a special shotgun because I've done a similar thing on his shotgun that I've done on my sniper rifle. That is given it some scram rails and explosive rounds. So with a shotgun especially, he's got one hell of a kickback on that thing. It's brilliant. It just, well, you'll see. Hopefully he'll use it a bit. Anyway, you kind of make your way through this mine. And yes, at various points, Rachni will come out and fight you. Oh, that was Rex's shotgun going off. Of course, it will pretty much overheat with every hit unless he's using the Carnage power-up. But I really don't bother thinking about overheating on, like, allied weapons because they sort it out themselves. So it's not really my problem. I'd rather go for power on him. Oh, I like the animation of them. The animation of them properly like jumping up, it looks like. Anyway, we're actually fairly close to the end here. You just kind of proceed through, and there are set points like here. Hey, where Rachni jump up at you. There are some, like, this late in the game, they shouldn't really prove a problem, but there are some tricks for fighting Rachni. Like, basically, Rex is probably your ideal Rachni fighter, as he's both skilled in both combat and biotics, because biotics can be useful for kind of crowd control against these fuckers. But also I've got Caden along as well, because Caden's got some decent biotics. Neural Shock is good for disabling them as well. These are all things that don't really matter to me, because, like, I was saying this last episode, my squad at the moment, like our weapons, our weapon-based powers are so good now that I rarely ever have to use powers. Once we're off side missions and back to the main game, we might have to find ourselves having to do that more again, but for now our weapons are just so effective. Like you've seen here, I've had an overkill on basically the entire time. Anyway, there's these two tunnels at the end, this is one of them, which have Rachni at the end of them, but these are your kind of main goals, because when you've killed enough of these Rachni, there we go, this bad boy comes out. Looks like the Rachni Queen, but this is in fact a Rachni Brood Warrior, the only Rachni capable of using biotics. Oh dude, Caden's got cryo. Oh, I forgot Caden got cryo around. That's kind of brutal. Yeah, so there's these kind of 2 points at the end, each of which has a Rachni Brood Warrior in. So if we head over to the other end, then we'll find exactly the same kind of setup. I'm just going to use my sniper. Oh, what? Oh, I hadn't quite finished spawning yet. That's annoying. Oh no, I've been surrounded. Oh, there's just so many explosions going off. This is great. That Brood Warrior's on its ass. Okay, so the sniper in close quarters is not particularly useful. Records of the Rachni War suggest Brood Warriors, the male-gendered Rachni, only fight when a hive is severely pressed. It's safe to say you've eliminated the Rachni on Nepmos. But that isn't the end of this story. No, far from it. Because we were given... That's us finished up on Nepmos, but yeah, we were given the coordinates of a second listening post that's recently gone dark, and it might be related. So, let's head back to the galaxy map. So, our target this time is the second system in the Styx Theta cluster, Acheron. And within here, a few quick scans. There is Grossalgen. Grossalgen, I suppose. Ugly sounding planet name, but a deposit of magnesium nonetheless. And then there is, I believe there's an asteroid somewhere, but I can't remember where it is. It's somewhere in this belt. There we go. And there we go. Let's scan the asteroid, which interestingly shows sign of impacts by weapons fire. And yes, you discover signs of battle while scanning an asteroid field in the Acheron system. A small recon and recovery team led by Navigator Presley was able to determine that many of the ships were marked with the Eprius colony insignia. And that's another Turian insignia, one of the last. Anyway, the planet of interest is this one, Altair, which is a really cool concept. Altair is an exceptional form of planet called a Roche world, or Roche world, I don't know how you pronounce that. Put simply, it is one half of a pair of small and unusually dense terrestrial worlds, Altair and Ontair, that orbit each other so closely that they effectively share a single atmosphere. That does not mean that one could fly from one to the other, but both have identical atmospheres, and dust from one can often be found on the other. Both worlds share an atmosphere of nitrogen and ethane. The surface is warm, mainly composed of silica dust and dark basaltic rocks, with extensive deposits of heavy minerals and radioactives. Tidal effects from Ontahe create constant heavy wind. And indeed, when it's kind of loaded up, you can see, we're on Altahe, but you can see the other one, Ontahe, there, kind of orbiting each other. And that is, yeah, it's a concept that we have in real life, of like two worlds that are so close together, they're effectively like counted as one by gravitation and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. We got a level up at the end of Netmos, so I'm going to give myself a commando, so now I lowers the recharge time on immunity. I'm going to give Caden electronics, and this time I've brought Liara instead of not Garrus, instead of Rex, and so we can give her lift. Anyway, you can see right next to us on the map is a mineral deposit, so we'll head over there. And at this point we find one of these again, I don't like the concept of just these blobs of minerals. Like, I guess it makes them easier to point out for a game, but minerals do not do that. They come in veins and stuff like that, usually in the form of ores, not just a kind of random chunk. No, I was trying to get back into the Mako. Anyway, now if we head all the way down to the south, then we find another mineral deposit. This one actually looks more like iron ore than gold, because it's that kind of rusty iron ore colour, and it's kind of the reniform structure, as we call it in the business. Well, it's not so much now it's loaded, but kind of looks like blobs, but that was just because it hadn't properly loaded its texture in. Anyway, there's 2 points down to the kind of south and east of us here. Oh god, I thought this was a way up. This was not a way up at all. Yeah, there's 2 points down to the south and east, so we're going to head to the southernmost of those 2 points. So as we approach this plot point, it's surrounded by enemies on the map. They haven't actually loaded in yet in the real world, but based on the kind of structures you're seeing around it, no prizes for guessing what they are. They are really not loading. Hey, there we go, look at that, it's Rachni, and they die really easily. Though they can, in the same way that a Thresher Maw can, they can do a surprising amount of damage to you in the Mako with that kind of like acid spit thing that they do. Can be pretty effective, but just don't get surrounded by them. Anyway, there's 4 of these like tunnel things of them on the map, so you just need to clean up those first, so I'm just going to do that quickly off camera. And with them sorted, you can head inside the building.
Lead on, Commander.
Or not. Now, any prizes for guessing what kind of enemies we're going to be facing inside this building? There's these 2 hardened weapon lockers here that can have some pretty useful stuff in them. We've pretty much got as much good stuff as we need. Like, we'll have like upgrades, so like, I've got to say, like, high explosives around 7, and there'll be 8 actually, and there will be 9 and 10s do exist, but other than that, I don't expect to get much better weapons and equipment. A lot of the enemies in here are these workers, kind of the little ones on the ground, and they can do a lot of damage and basically just watch your kind of like toxic levels, because you can they can give you a surprising amount of toxic damage. But like, if you've got, like I have, medical exoskeletons, they cause basically the combination of toxin resistance and healing factor that they kind of give you just means that toxic damage isn't really a threat once you've got, like, I've got 2 medical exoskeletons on my armor, and I think the other guys have all at least got 1. Anyway, our kind of goal is, I don't even know what those things are. I guess they're something kind of like Rachni-ish looking, but anyway, your goal is this terminal here.
Commander, you see this? They just received a supply run 2 days ago. The Rachni worked fast.
Tell me about that supply ship. This planet is supposed to be uninhabited. The Rachni didn't come from nowhere.
Hang on. Seems these things are drones, dispatched at irregular intervals from different depots to reduce the likelihood of tracking. Got it. It came from Argos Row.
Wherever it is, there's probably more Rachni there. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Very well, Shepard.
The Rachni infestation on Altair seems to be the result of a supply drop from Argos Row. The logs you downloaded from the freighter should allow you to backtrack the ship's course to its origin. And so, basically, that's this next mission. We've now got Depot Sigma 23, is it, or something like that? Check on the bottom. But, yeah, that's the kind of final mission in this particular, like, chain of them. So I'm going to do that this episode as well. I know we're already on 20 minutes, but it would feel really odd to start the next episode with that, whereas it makes more sense to kind of get this whole chain done in one episode. It's a bit of a better flow to it. Anyway, we've actually got, well, I've got these, I'm going to override quickly. But yeah, we've got, there's one more point left to do, 2 more points actually left on the surface of Altahe, so I'll see you outside. So first of all, there is the anomaly just straight up to the north from here that's right next to us. So I'm not even going to bother cutting because, wow, this anomaly is interesting for 2 reasons. One is that it has some stuff we can do, but also, listen carefully here. Did you hear that sound? Well, that sounded almost like a weird cow or something like that, or a whale, like a sound. That is, wow. We'll drive up to the final point, but while we're driving over, I'll put the speeder on and explain that thing, because basically that sound, you can hear it at a number of points in the game, always on deserted worlds, and of all of them, they are almost all have something to do with Rachni. Like, there's this one, you can hear it on Netmos, the other one, a lot of the planets are kind of Rachni worlds, or worlds where the Rachni used to colonize or something like that. And so that's led a lot of people to theorize, because if you remember back to our conversation with the Rachni Queen on Noveria, a lot of people have talked about the song of the Rachni, and a lot of people theorize that that is kind of like Rachni singing. But there's no real evidence for it. Like, it's a theory, and a lot of the times it's presented as though that is what actually kind of like it is. But, like, the Mass Effect wiki will always have those things listed on the map as the song associated with the Rachni can be found here, but there's no real reason why it's associated. It's basically just a fan theory, and there are actually some things that go against it. Number one is the fact that that is, like, just a stock, spacey sound effect that you can just buy online, and also the fact that at the Lunar CCCP probe on the moon, you can hear that sound, and there is definitely no evidence within the Mass Effect universe that Rachni ever went to, like, Earth's moon or anything like that. They've never been there, so it's unusual that the sound should be heard there as well. Or maybe that's trying to suggest something, who knows? Or maybe it's just random coincidence. Either way, we finished up now here on Altahe, so let's go and head back to the galaxy map for one final quest this episode. Now, don't worry, this is only a very short one. It's not a full-on world or anything like that. It's in this system here, Argos Row, and it is in, down at the bottom here, is the Gorgon system. Within the Gorgon system, there's nothing we can obtain for any of these planets. None of them have rare minerals or anything worth scanning. The only thing of interest is this, the Unidentified Space Facility, which is where this quest takes place. It appears to have been assembled using off-the-shelf civilian ship modules of diverse origins. There are no obvious hull markings, and it's not broadcasting any ID signal. And of course, inside it's the absolutely generic freighter layout that is used in like 8 or 9 missions during the game, and it's really annoying. Actually, we've done pretty much all of them now, that is. It's only something like 3 or 4. But you can see bad men on the map. Mostly Rachni workers, but there are a few actual Rachni, and this is, again, it's that... It's this annoying kind of crate maze they always like to throw you on the freighters, and I can never remember the bloody way through it. It's always the same kind of... You can kind of, to a certain degree, actually just trace where the Rachni are coming from, because they'll always be coming from further in the maze than you. So through here now, I think. Hell, You do actually need to remember this fairly well for something that's going to happen soon, so do bear that in mind. Anyway, there we go. Here's where we're supposed to... This is not really a maze. It's quite short and simple. Anyway, if we come through here, there's an aid station. Then these kind of side rooms have stuff that we can loot. This one has a medical station. And a crate. And a storage locker. And an upgrade kit. And another storage locker. So yeah, this is the end of a chain of side quests. They give you a lot of rewards. Mostly I will just be what I tend to be doing, which is, so if you look on my equipment screen, you will notice, see where it says at the bottom there's a kind of weird circly symbol and 160. That is Omnigel, the thing that I'm using to override stuff. And most of the time I'm basically just converting, we have so much money and nothing to buy that I'm basically converting almost all the equipment we get to Omnigel just to kind of mean I can override crates and stuff without having to decrypt them, just because it speeds it up a bit while I'm on recording. Anyway, there's this terminal here.
Personal data recorder for Major Elena Flores.
Play the first entry.
Sigma 23 is almost fully operational. The barracks and storage lockers are complete, and we've begun stocking the munitions. It's highly unlikely the Alliance will patrol in the nebula. I expect our only risk will be from pirates, and who'll believe them? Looks like we'll have space for 2 reinforced platoons of Cerberus commandos.
Cerberus. Is that a corporation?
That's the only text that your squad mate ever has on this, regardless of the fact that we've come across even, and particularly of note, we've pretty much personally destroyed Cerberus, so it's slightly annoying though that Caden doesn't seem to remember that, but oh well. Anyway, entry 2.
Play the second entry.
The package arrived today for field testing. I'm told they're fundamentally similar to the units being developed on Novaria. They promise this batch will be stable. Something about them developing in proximity to the master control unit. We detected some pirates setting up an anchorage in a neighboring system. I think we'll try deploying them there first.
Play the last entry.
They've escaped containment. Clever bastards. We treated them like animals. We should have treated them like POWs. They're spreading. Boarding the supply ships and sending them to random destinations. They'll be all over the cluster in a week. General, if you recover this message, my advice is, screw the Rachni. They're too smart. Use one of the other projects. Flores, signing off. For the final time.
It seems Binary Helix were not the only ones foolish enough to meddle with the Rachni.
Let's go.
The escaped Rachni definitely came from this station, though the motives behind this Cerberus group are vague. To prevent further contamination, arm the station's scuttle charges and evacuate to the Normandy. So, we arm that charge, and you get an oddly specific 1 minute and 10 seconds to get out. This is why I was saying pay attention to the path of the maze, because this one can actually be problematic slightly getting out, especially if you're like not this late in the game and you can't just blend. Basically, fortunately for us, the Rachni really aren't a threat at all, because if they were, you'd be screwed. There's a load of like crates and stuff you can decrypt and grab on the way out, which you only seem to. I never seem to see these on the way in. But yeah, like I was saying, you can kind of basically follow the path of the escape of the kind of Rachni, because they'll tend to come from. Oh shit! I didn't mean to override this. I meant to Omnigel it. Oh well, but yeah, they kind of come from in front of you. And yeah, it's of course not surprising to learn that Cerberus were fucking with Rachni as well, because they fuck with... Well, we see them fucking with Rachni already, actually, oh shit, in one of the really early missions, the same one where they had Thorian creepers and shit like that. Cerberus are always up to their necks in shit. Anyway, we escaped with, yeah, about like 20 seconds to go, so like, it's kind of tight. But yes, oh no, god, we're not even out yet, bloody hell. Leave, there we go. So, it's been a long episode, but we've done a full plot chain of stuff to do with Rachni. We found out that Cerberus had a batch of Rachni too, and those Rachni escaped, were smart, and sent themselves to various worlds. We cleaned up 2 of those worlds. Who knows how many more there are, but oh well. Next episode, we've got 2 more side quests to get done, and then we're done with the Uncharted worlds. They're the final 2 Uncharted worlds. Then after that, we've just got a little bit more stuff to do on the Citadel, 1 more little DLC package, and then it's off to Vermeer in a couple of episodes' time. So, thank you very much for watching. I've been the Doctor with the Infamous Gentleman, and this has been Mass Effect. Good day.